I have 48 hours to make a game matching the theme delivery. I've made games in 48 hours, but this time I'm going to have Twitch Chat design the game. Yeah, you heard me, Twitch Chat. Actually, the game turned out great. Out of over 2,300 entries, almost 500 were made by solo devs like myself. And in the voting rounds, the game got a respectable rating in the fun category, and the game also rated well in the mood and audio categories. Hey Twitch Chat, what kind of game should we make? I took all the ideas Twitch Chat came up with and organized them into a single page. The ideas broke down into 7 basic categories. So I created a poll and Twitch Chat took a vote. The top 4 ideas were prisoner delivery, with the game being about a prisoner management game where you're delivering prisoners between different prisons. The second category of game suggestions had to do with baby delivery, either with the player being a pediatrician delivering a baby, or perhaps managing the baby delivery storks flying overhead trying to get babies where they need to go. The third category of ideas was door-to-door delivery. It could be food delivery, but there were also suggestions for drone deliveries or delivering babies in non-conventional ways. Yeah, we didn't really want to go there. And then the fourth category of ideas revolved around the phrase, deliver us from evil. And after multiple rounds of voting, deliver us from evil was the winner. If we're going to make deliver us from evil, I decided to really lean into the scary aspects of the game. Light and dark will be a core game mechanic. I had an old game jam I did back in 2015 that played around with a dark level that only gave you glimpses of light every so often. I love the way that games like Limbo use truly dramatic lighting to increase the tension. If you look at a game like Five Nights at Freddy's, you can create some really scary moments for the player by turning the light and vision into a resource that the player has to manage. The game Control makes excellent use of lighting to build tension, and for our game mechanics, we can take it even farther, completely obscuring some enemies in the darkness. So the first thing we're going to do is pull up Unity and do some lighting experiments. I place a couple of cubes into an empty environment and set up a basic player controller. Now to have the dark areas in Unity be truly dark, you need to remove the ambient environment light as well. The next thing we're going to do is add a point light source. In Unity, a point light source represents the point in the world from which light emanates. In this scene, the cylinder is a placeholder object representing the player, and the sphere is a placeholder object representing the priestess. I want the game to be about protecting the priestess, and so I have the light always emanating from her. I created a quick model for the hero and a basic player controller to let you move around. After we've modeled the player's character, we can put it inside the game engine to see how it feels. This immediately gives the game a spooky tension in which you need to stay near the priestess. Next, I added some zombies that would come towards the priestess. The next decision we have to make is what happens when the zombies actually reach the priestess. Twitch Chat suggested that when the zombies attack, instead of having a health bar, what if the light radius on the priestess shrank instead? So of course, I implemented it. And it was great. As the zombies attack the priestess, the light shrinks, and if the light disappears, the game's over. If there's no zombies nearby, then the light radius can increase as the priestess calms down. This mechanic simultaneously emphasizes the light and dark theme of the game and creates tension. To give our player a lighting tool, we're going to take inspiration from Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is another game that uses light and darkness really well, and one of the tools you have in this game is a flare. You earn up to 3 flares at a time, and there's a cooldown that allows the flares to recharge in your inventory. Tossing flares into the caves illuminates that section of the cave for a few moments. I thought this mechanic could also work super well in Deliver Us from Evil, so I added it. So now the player has a flare gun to use on command to supplement the light from the priestess. This maintains tension, keeps the player near the priestess, while still giving the player agency to see into the darkness when needed. With the lighting mechanics worked out, the environment's going to need some work. Looking at this gray ground is boring. One of the scariest movies ever made is The Ring, which featured this iconic image with a lot of grainy noise and a tough to discern background. I took this as a point of inspiration. I knocked out a simple noise texture in Photoshop by using the built-in fibers render. Then I create a second Photoshop layer and do a second fibers render, which I then rotate by 90 degrees so the two fiber renders are on top of each other. I can then take this texture from Photoshop and apply it to our ground in Unity, and we instantly get a slightly unsettling ground texture for our game. To complete the scary vibe package, we're going to need good audio. Did you know that making a TV show, movie, or video game scary is heavily reliant on the audio? Check out this hopeful clip. But check out what happens when you have that exact same video clip with some scary and suspenseful music. To tie the scary mood together, I went with the idea that the priestess would be constantly praying in hushed tones. I wrote up a few lines for what a priestess might be praying in this situation. Then I asked ChatGPT to write a few more lines that would fit that scary tone, but also incorporate the concept of delivery, since that was the theme of the Ludum Dare Game Jam. I cleaned up the audio lines and then recorded myself into Audacity.
Blessed Mother, deliver us from evil, protect your faithful, hear our prayers, heed my call, stand with your servants, watch over us.
I applied some audio filters, including pitch adjustment and some reverb to give it a creepy tone.
Blessed Mother, deliver us from evil, protect your faithful, hear our prayers, heed my call, stand with your servants.
That's actually way scarier than I meant for it to be.
To contrast against the prayers of the priestess, we need some zombie moans. You know that feeling in Minecraft? You know there's a zombie nearby, but you don't know where. So, some zombie recordings from yours truly. Then, of course, we filter it. As additional polish, I added bullet spray and a muzzle flash when shooting your shotgun, and blood splatter and an impact sound effect when hitting a zombie. Slam it all together and you can see how the light-dark gameplay, the ground texture, the whispers from the priestess, and the zombie sounds combine to form a tense action shooter. I've done other game jams before that feature audio prominently, such as this rhythm runner game that encourages the player to jump and slide to the beat as a mischievous high school student. I did a development breakdown of that game as well, which you can check out here. See you in the next video.